You don't save me. I save me.
Will you be my new mommy?
Apology accepted.
Each week we break down another Better Call Saul episode in order. This is one of those episodes that's easy to forget has some major plot developments. And we're now halfway through season 2, so now's a great time to subscribe if you haven't yet. I've got 50 details you might not know in season 2, episode 5, Rebecca. We start with some disorienting footage, but between the bleach bypass effect and the fluorescent buzzing, I think it's clear we're in a Chuck flashback. They did tweak the bleach bypass effect, however, so it would better reflect a warmth of the house from these happier times. Chuck's even wearing a different watch, so perhaps his move to the Raymond Veal was out of necessity. The mechanical watch also seems to belong to Michael McKean, although it's unclear whether he just kept it from the show. Aha, he's not alone. Director John Scheiben likes this type of shot, which he calls framing within a frame. I'll point out when he does it again.
That's as good as the one we had in Florence.
All right, don't humor me.
I'm not.
There are several episodes named after a character, although this one feels a bit forced because they wanted a title beginning with R, which I'll talk about another day. I think I would have called this Cold Calls, as Kim's story is the focus, but I'm curious what title you would choose.
Did what's-her-name behave herself?
She takes the whole section for granted. I'm debating whether to say something.
I think you should. Don't keep it inside.
Hypocritical much?
Ready for the chiffonade?
That's the knife technique to make the little ribbons, but it also refers to the herbs.
It's more about morale.
Morale can affect quality. God knows the hoops that Howard jumps through just to keep the troops humming.
Well, true.
Ah, back when Howard cared about the morale of his most promising employees.
You deserve a medal for this.
Please, it's no big deal.
You are a trooper.
Chuck's CML monogram shows us his middle initial is L, as the order is typically first, last, middle.
Let's just say he's something of an acquired taste.
You are such an asshole.
Let's have a high sign. How about the old Carol Burnett thing?
Where she pulls her earlobe?
We'll talk more about Carol Burnett in the future.
I'll say I have briefs to read and we'll get rid of them.
Holy shit. Look at this place.
Hey, Jimmy.
Little taste of home for you.
There's that iconic Chicago beer again.
Looking for a place? There's one place. The Beachcomber has a pool.
That's an important reference.
3 marriages. You think I haven't been here? The Beachcomber Apartments. Last stop on the loser train.
I strongly suggest sunscreen.
You should look like Anthony Quinn in Lawrence of Arabia.
With Old Style, Miles Davis, and Sunburn, there sure are a lot of Marco references here.
We're up to about 5,000 feet here. You'll fry.
I didn't realize it, but Albuquerque is the highest city in the U.S. with a population of at least 500,000 people.
So, violinist.
There it is, the connection to the Sicilian piano-violin duet that the two of them must have played together. I didn't mention it earlier just to avoid a minor spoiler.
Rebecca is widely respected amongst her peers. Yo-Yo Ma came to our wedding.
Although Jimmy's not impressed, that's something to brag about, as he's one of the most influential and acclaimed cellists ever. He has played at friends' weddings.
I played this piece at both friends' weddings and, unfortunately, also at their memorial services.
Although it sounds like he was just a guest in this case. And he has played Sicilian.
Right on, man.
Right on, man.
Right on, man.
Bob pretending to be younger by channeling Jesse makes me think of...
How do you do, fellow kids?
Producer Diane Mercer confirmed that they digitally de-aged Bob and Michael in every shot of this teaser, as well as in season 1 flashbacks. She said they lifted their eyes and sometimes touched up their foreheads.
Tell us about your first week at Hamlin McGill.
They got me working in the mailroom. You gotta start somewhere.
Jimmy's the only one drinking the old style, but beer can also pair well with fish and risotto.
Nice folks. I learned everyone's name, and I licked a ton of stamps.
When boosting the exposure, we can see part of that added warmth, specifically around Rebecca.
Well, cheers to that.
Pardon me.
This is uncomfortable, somewhat like Jesse having dinner with the Whites, although in this case, the guest is able to turn things around.
All right. What's the difference between a vacuum cleaner and a lawyer on a motorcycle? The vacuum cleaner has the dirt bag on the inside.
Lawyer jokes.
I love how he interrupts himself with an O when he thinks of new jokes.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for your profession. I mean, it's a pillar of... Oh, why do they bury lawyers under 20 feet of dirt? I want you to know how seriously I take my job. I'm grateful for the... Oh, how many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? 3. 1 to climb the ladder, 1 to shake it, and 1 to sue the ladder company.
Comedy gold.
What do lawyers and sperm have in common?
Could this failure be why Chuck later has no interest in a safe word?
You want maybe like a safe word?
How about get me the hell home?
Rebecca's laughter is genuine, but real-life Ann Cusack's acting isn't convincing everyone, despite being from a family full of actors.
I don't know what you're worried about. Jimmy's great.
Yeah.
Rebecca's reading BBC Music Magazine, which is all about classical music, and this crack team of researchers figured out it's the October 1992 issue, which is incredible work by the props team as this flashback takes place in 1992. This dramatic lighting isn't used on the side shots as those chest shadows are gone. The fact that Chuck says,
Any more about what's her name?
whereas Jimmy said,
Learned everyone's name.
is a great demonstration about the difference between the two brothers, as is their joke telling.
What do you call 25 attorneys buried up to their chins in cement? Not enough cement.
What? Oh.
Rebecca was introduced to help people sympathize more with Chuck, showing some of what he lost. Although this new angle of Chuck's jealousy over Jimmy making her laugh isn't helping his case. We're back to 2002. Poor Bob wanted to type normally, but the director and writers believe that Jimmy is a hunt and peck typer. Look at that Coco Bolo desk. Although it's so much smaller that he needs to keep all the New Mexico reports books on this cart.
Please leave me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
It's me again. I think I found something that could help get you out of there. Call me, would you?
Hi.
Whoa.
Sorry, I didn't mean to sneak up on you.
I just thought everyone was gone.
I noticed in your office, you threw away a soda can. I fished it out, so it's fine. There's a separate big can in the kitchen for plastic, glass, and aluminum.
Go green.
I think that counts because of how he says it.
Anything else?
I have the brief you gave Cliff this morning. I have a few notes. I'd love to go over them now if you have a minute. It's just that we have a particular house style.
Why is a second year giving notes to a fourth year?
Well, like I said, I know the house style.
Does Cliff have you babysitting me?
No. The Roman numeral headings, we use all caps for those. Oh, and before I forget, we put 2 spaces after a period on all our documents.
What? I'd quit right there. 2 spaces came about in the typewriter era because when you're using a monospaced font, it can look more readable. But every major style guide says to use 1 space.
You want to tad overboard with the quotations? You have a tendency to overuse the words clearly and obviously.
Aaron's nitpicking could indeed come in handy for this channel. Call me, Aaron.
I was just on my way out.
I was thinking we should just get her done now. No time like the present.
I'm gonna get my favorite pen and I will see you momentarily.
You got it.
It is safe to assume that Aaron's directive is indeed to babysit Jimmy.
Going forward, you can expect a great deal more scrutiny.
But it's possible Cliff believes Aaron can learn some people skills from Jimmy as well. You could say Jimmy slipped away. That's nice that Kim has company. They're listening to a song that came out in 2016, although it's possible it debuted in the show, so that's excusable.
Miss Wexler?
You can call me Kim.
Kim, it's 20 to midnight.
Are you asking me if you can leave? Guys, I'm not your supervisor. Don't stick around on my account.
This set was inspired by Brazil, a dystopian movie that has been called Kafkaesque. It's meant to evoke a sort of law prison. They even considered doing a forced perspective set to make it seem bigger, but that would have required them to only shoot it from one angle. I didn't even catch that the guys were the ones playing the music, and Kim turned it off as soon as they left rather than asking them to turn it off.
Thanks.
Well, there goes that narrative.
5 minutes, just give me 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
You want me to sue my own firm?
Chuck is punishing you to get to me. This is extortion.
That's Howard, who has an image to uphold. He did the same thing after the Kettleman fiasco, and Chuck was nowhere in sight.
Chuck is behind this.
No, you are behind this. I should have known better.
She should have known better.
Kim,
Even if I won, who would hire me?
then I quit Davis and me.
My knight in shining armor, that is some sacrifice. Quitting a job that you've been trying to tank since day one. Prove you can go one day without breaking the rules of the New Mexico Bar Association. And don't insult my intelligence by saying you are doing any of this for me.
That's right, Jimmy. Good things happen when you admit,
I did it for me.
Who knew this scene was so similar to Felina? They did view this as a pivotal moment in their relationship, though, in part because of this line.
You don't save me. I save me.
A sensible choice as Jimmy keeps messing up Kim's career.
Is Aaron in yet? God damn, Pixie Ninja.
Ooh, that's a colorful way to say that she's small and stealthy, but I don't think I can count it as a reference.
I owe you a big apology. I have a medical condition. GERD.
Are we doing this or not?
You bet.
Kim's trying to make such a good impression that she wears what appears to be Hemlindigo blue throughout this episode.
Wondering if you've heard that Santa Fe Place is looking for new outside counsel. Okay, bye. Would you happen to know if Intel is happy with their legal representation? Schweikart? Sure.
A lot of the names on the post-its are friends of writer Ann Cherkis. This is the first episode she has written, but she'll write many more. You can tell all these numbers are fake because real numbers can't start with a 0 or 1 after the area code.
We met at that ABA mixer last year. Bourbon shots. That was me. You too.
Only for Stephanie and Katie, she crosses out their numbers instead of their names. That shouldn't bug me, but it does. But then, weird stuff happens in this sequence that is presented as continuous. She puts down the pen, then everything but Stephanie's number and Marvin's name are crossed out. Then everything but Stephanie's name is crossed out, and the pen jumps back into her hand.
How's your lunch?
Good.
What'd you have?
Turkey wrap.
Wow, so Kim's not even eating.
How's the place?
It's great. Quiet, they allow dogs.
I can't get Kaylee out of the pool.
This was Hotel Blue, the first hotel Vince ever stayed at while in Albuquerque for the X-Files. It was also Dean Norris's favorite hotel because they have Tempur-Pedic beds. It's now called Arrive Albuquerque.
She misses you.
I don't want her to see me looking like this.
Just like in Rico, Mike doesn't make people pay for parking while talking to Stacy. This is a good trick to remember if you ever need to park here.
The next car I get's gonna have airbags. Give Kaylee a kiss for me.
I will.
All right, bye, darling.
Whoa, hold on. What the hell happened to you?
This is once again a digital effect.
I get it. The first rule of Fight Club.
You do not talk about Fight Club.
Aaron, this is my grandpa, Mike.
In my Too Many Sauls video, I counted this as a Mike's grandson persona, but I now think that's too much of a stretch. That's the Rocky theme song, a reference he loves using whenever he sees a punched face.
Yo, Adrian. Rocky called. He wants his face back.
She needs a little finessing, so can I handle it?
Yeah, sure.
Bet you never thought you'd see me again.
The contract council administrator, who unfortunately doesn't have a name, even drew a bear on her post-it. Above it, it says pick up dry cleaning, which feels like the stereotypical thing to write on a post-it. But at least it's better than Bogdan's call Walt for divorce papers.
I'm hoping for Thursday at 10 before he,
Don't have it.
Thursday at noon, perhaps?
Nope.
That Beanie Baby is Hope, the praying bear.
You're pretty. Will you be my new mommy?
What are you doing? That's a bribe.
It's a gift. That's how it works here.
That's not how it works.
What don't you understand about finessing? I apologize for my colleague. She's new. Is there any possible way we could still get Thursday?
I'll give you 2:30 Thursday, the 14th.
That's next month.
Throughout the entire Breaking Bad universe, there's only one other character with that much sass.
Guess we'll go with plan A then.
We'll take it.
That isn't really a Mr. Snuggles, but I am ready to give you a Mr. Snuggles update. It arrived from eBay, it's smaller than I thought it would be, and it doesn't work. And the thing I thought was a button on his face is a motion sensor.
So does this go on my official Stasi report?
That refers to East Germany's former surveillance organization. Aw, maybe he should have left it out for her to find later. He's back.
Hey, how you doing, Bill?
And that's the first time we've heard his first name. He's still just credited as DDA Oakley. Bill Oakley is the name of a writer and producer of The Simpsons. So is Bob's brother Bill Odenkirk, so I don't think this is a coincidence. He's also one of a long line of characters who was brought back mainly because the creators, and in this case Bob, liked the actor so much. This famously happened with Crazy 8 and Breaking Bad, who was supposed to be dead in the pilot, Jesse, Ernie, and even Hector.
Word on the street is you're over at Davison, Maine now. Lucky son of a bitch. Man, that must be sweet. I bet they gave you a car.
Yeah, they gave me a car.
I bet it's German. Is it German?
Yeah, it's German. The cup holder's actually...
Got a sick office?
It's got a little fireplace.
Kill my mother for a fireplace.
Bill, this is why people make such mean jokes about lawyers.
I would kill her for a window.
But it is a great reminder of just how good Jimmy has it now.
Yeah, I have an assistant, right? She's hot, right?
She is a bright young man named Omar.
Omar.
Hey, you got a little something on your,
This is a very different situation, but visually similar.
It's vomit, again. The worst part, could have come from two different defendants.
Good seeing you, Bill.
Lucky bastard.
It's montage time, and by popular demand, I'll tell you it's the 8th one so far. You all have made the counter very happy. This song, a Gypsy Kings cover of Sinatra's My Way, was the director's idea, which is rare, at least for directors not named Vince. Coincidentally, this episode aired 2 days before his son Frank Sinatra Jr. died. This could be another inspiration from The Big Lebowski, which featured a Spanish-language cover of Hotel California. And I know this isn't a Hidden Details in The Big Lebowski video, but why is this shot flipped backwards? They got a little lazy with these fake phone numbers all starting with the same 6 digits. It was not raining here. It's real water, but they put rain towers on top of the building, and it was the first time they've ever done this, which makes sense since we don't see rain very often. They flipped this shot Big Lebowski style. I know this because they just showed Kim with her watch on her left wrist, and now it's on her right. Also, this writing is backwards. When flipped, it says Gillian Cogan, who she mentioned earlier in the montage.
I was looking for a Jillian Cogan.
I'll give them some leeway since it's a montage.
Hi, Claudia. It's Kim Wexler.
But it's funny how the sticky notes appear out of nowhere mid-sentence and then change to different ones.
You know I have a fear of heights.
She said that because she's talking to someone from a ski resort. There's an unsettling amount of Danish waste in this room. Only one person finished theirs.
Hey, how are you, Paige? I couldn't be more thrilled.
I wouldn't have noticed, but the director also considers this shot a frame within a frame.
I'm sure we can get something on the books tomorrow.
Kim seemed like she was on the outs with HHM, but with this great news, she's gotta be back in, right? Look at all those modern cars. I assume. Let me know if you can identify any. Here we can see Howard's middle initial is G, and his dad's name is George M. Hamlin. And we again see Chuck's L middle initial. But wait, there's more. Helen Caldwell is the script supervisor, Patrick Duncan is in the art department, Jesse Gideon Heidenfeld is in the camera department, Richard Heller's in accounting, and then who's Matt Feet? Oh yeah, the photographer, deputy, student, preppy shopper, roofing hammer attack victim, homicide suspect, one of the best laser pointer holders west of the Mississippi, and dumpster diver. I said I would officially count him the next time he appeared, so here's the best type of feet counter.
There she is.
Hi. Paige, so good to see you.
You too.
When I was 7 years old, my very first bank account was at Mesa Verde, if you can believe it.
The name Mesa Verde might sound familiar, although Walt was a customer of Mesa Credit Union, which is different. Although Mesa is Verde in the sign.
I can remember the cover of my first passbook. It was a silhouette of a... Cowboy on horseback, standing next to a cactus.
You might think Kevin read Howard's mind, but it turns out he does this for everything.
Paige, Kevin, this is...
Cowboy.
We have a
Cowboy.
little presentation for you in our conference room, along with some snacks and a...
Cowboy.
Well, I think they couldn't have got any better. Pleasure to meet you.
Fantastic. I'll see you soon.
Congratulations.
Right back at you.
I'll circle back with Paige, get the ball rolling, start talking strategy.
I'll put Francis on that.
Okay.
You've got enough on your plate in doc review.
Wow, that's really indefensible. Kim learned the hard way that
life is not one big game of let's make a deal.
This flag gets a lot of focus, twice because it was the director's idea and they went to a lot of trouble to get this shot. He saw the empty flagpole on site and said, wouldn't HHM have a flag? So they not only made the double-sided flag, but brought in a wind machine and 2 cranes, one for the wind machine and one for the camera. Strangely, he viewed it as a callback to Sunset, which he also directed, as that episode had a flagpole at Mrs. Pecatiwa's house. This exceeds all the far-fetched connections that people try to draw between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and I never would have believed it if it didn't come from the man himself.
Coming. I hear clinking. Does that mean we have something to celebrate?
We sure do.
Mesa Verde.
On retainer.
Oh, even better. One of your golf course conquests.
Kim Wexler brought them in.
She's out of the doghouse, I assume.
We'll see.
Huh, so he's not doing Chuck's bidding here. Sorry, Chuck, I take back the puppet joke. For this specific instance.
Interstate expansion. Months of work for HHM. Maybe years.
That sweet ride means Ernie's here. Here's a few things about Ernie's Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 8. Its color is electric blue, so Chuck's a real sport for being willing to ride in it. Production of this car started in January 2003, but we're still in August 2002. And John, who played Ernie, was not actually driving here because he doesn't know how to drive a stick shift. And is Chuck even in there? You can hear a little of his space blanket and see a glimmer of it here, but once inside, we hear and see it even better.
Oh, sorry.
You're in early?
More like late.
How about some coffee?
No, thank you.
Would you mind making me some? I can't do it myself with the electricity.
So what was his plan? If he wasn't going to have coffee when he thought he was alone, does he really need Kim to make it?
Sure.
No sugar, just a splash of soy milk.
I think it's reasonable to assume that Chuck is lactose intolerant. There was that confusing exchange in Miho.
You're out of milk. Oh, sorry.
Although in Cobbler, it does look like Chuck has milk in his cooler.
Kim, make 2 cups.
At this moment, Ray said that Kim's trying to figure out if she's allowed to put her mug down without a coaster because that table looks expensive.
Well, I guess it's true what they say. The early bird gets the worm, which is good if you like worms.
Last season, they used a modern Los Angeles backdrop and had to digitally erase skyscrapers, but this year they were able to use a 1960s Hollywood Hills background that was previously used by fellow AMC show Mad Men. All they had to do with this one is cover the recognizable Capitol Records building with a tree.
Do I have a future at this firm?
My brother left you holding the bag. I made the same mistake. Over and over again. Now Howard has. Damn mess. Jimmy ever tell you anything about our father?
Not much, no.
Ray believes Kim's lying here. She's definitely on guard.
He was the personification of good. He ran a little corner store in Cicero. He knew everybody's name.
More like Jimmy and less like...
What's her name? I was named after him.
We'll come back to that in a future episode.
Jimmy grew up in that store, watching our father. Dad was not the world's greatest businessman, and eventually he ran into money troubles. I'm no accountant, but I discovered $14,000 was just gone.
The slow zoom while Chuck delivers his monologue was inspired by a similar scene in The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp.
Turns out Jimmy had pilfered it in dribs and drabs.
Chuck says he's no accountant, but he speaks like one.
Dribs and drabs.
Just took it out of the till. My dad wouldn't hear it. Not his Jimmy,
he said calmly. Couldn't be precious Jimmy.
He ended up having to sell. 6 months later, he was dead. At the funeral, no one cried harder than Jimmy. My brother is not a bad person. He has a good heart. He can't help himself. and everyone's left picking up the pieces.
We do see Kim doing that even in the very first episode. Kim's giving him nothing, which surprised Michael McKean. He believed it helped the scene. According to Ray, Kim isn't sure if Chuck's telling the truth, but she does see him being manipulative. She also knows it's powerful to not speak when you're around people that talk all the time, like these two chuckleheads. At this point, we also don't know if Chuck's telling the truth or perhaps has the wrong impression of what really happened.
I'll talk to Howard. Pour a little oil on troubled waters. You're being wasted down in dock review. Good job with Mesa Verde.
That's an awesome clue for who we're about to see, although first there's Fran.
You want anything else, Mike?
I'm good, Fred. Thanks.
Vince confirmed she was named after the original owner of Walter White's real-life house who passed away in 2020. Mike's eye has healed quite a bit since the earlier scene. They planned to rely on only makeup for this scene, but ended up digitally enhancing the bruising because the makeup didn't look severe enough with this lighting.
Mind if I join you?
What can I get you?
Coffee, black.
It's Hector. It turns out a jailed Tuco also attracts Salamancas. With this character reveal, they really lean into the familiar pattern of clue, glimpse, voice,
Mind if I join you?
face. And this won't be the last time.
He really did a number on you.
Besides Crazy 8, he's maybe the only Breaking Bad character who successfully looks younger in Better Call Saul.
Sorry, I know you.
Man who did that to you. He's my nephew.
And it's the first time we've heard him speak English, although we heard him speak Spanish in a Breaking Bad flashback.
Gran cocinero es más parecido. He thinks he's a boxer.
Clearly he's not with that punching form, as many of you have noticed.
I apologize to you.
Apology accepted.
Peter and Vince liken this scene to this one from Heat, where you saw two great actors, Pacino and De Niro, acting together for the first time. It's hard to be sure because of the angle, but I think it's safe to say that this lady disappears when the camera angle changes.
The gun charge, that's 8 years is gone away, maybe 10. I would like for you to tell the police that the gun was yours.
Would you? Then I'd be subject to the gun charge.
You're an ex-cop. They go easy on you.
Hector's done his homework.
If you're gonna be a criminal, do your homework.
And that's chilling because he must also know about Stacy and Kaylee.
For your trouble, you take home $5,000.
Besides the fact that $5,000 doesn't seem like enough, it's the amount Maddie accepted.
6,000 from God knows where.
Hector also follows Mike's approach of leaving a $10 bill.
Think about it.
Is he playing mind games? Mike's actually rattled. Just like with Kim's hard work that appeared to be successful, all his effort has been for nothing. They originally were going to end the scene with another, but decided it was too much.
You are a trooper.
Congratulations and thanks to the new 1-year members! Liam Maney, Coralistic Kenis, Jittering Critterling, Nico Saavedra, Zwerons, Crits Only, Raminio, Sven Wagner, Junker, Jenswa, GorillaMan219, and Fluffy the Little Wolf. Happy birthday, Josh, a great bro and a great friend to new patron Jacob. I hope you and your brother have Cheese Whiz-filled adventures until the end of time. And here's to the new 6-month members! Will's Talent, Jonathan Wells, Ender12, Zozo, Paruman, Salim Murphaliaglu, Mr. Student, Alan Mueller, Dave Fetch, on Landed, Mr. Scott, Tuya, Pond Mushroom, A, Walter Weiss, Ted Kai, Finns, Omega the Red, Jacob Mars, Coral Etkin, Misal Vital, Breezy, Valerie Kabik, Amino Frog, Leonardo Faison, Lycor, Baraka Obama, Cousin Roman, Red Panda, Snow the Fluff Boy, Adam Vavoda, Slinger, Coffee Bean, Crystal Daydream, Minkoff119, Andy Toffel, Roxium, Call Me Ah, Lucas Malcolm, Wheelie Flip, Isaac Foley, Catherine Thatcher, Happy Guy Plays, Fidel Sixtos, Dr. W.D. Gaster, Christian McClellan, Alan Denial 99, 06, Brig Colby, Shannon Speed, Maddie J, Herb Loggins, Nathan Cleary, Gins Villigan, or simply Tom, Noah Buckley, Ock Crafty, Ashton Go Boom, David Gray, Green Tornado 98, Tiller 05, Finally Joe, The Caloporium, Lotterito XD, Formidable Nemesis, Desmate, Arminia 14, Marina, otherwise known as Milo, Retro Pizza Fan, Jack Mackin, Carsino, Kisla Punk, and Yato Genesis. And I want to fix my pronunciation of Jayorsi. And say hi to the new members, Gay Nerd Brad, Jeremy Prime, Riley Sheffer, Tom Lev, Frexo, Twim, Shackhouse, Thumdago, Enrique Andres Escoval Gonzalez, Patrick Harrison, Lune Knight, MX Frogman, Fembot Logic, Bread Dies, Tian Hao Pei, Fexop, Frazzler, Tronigan, Alec WK, Hot Joe, Colton Raballo WCS, Nick BVF, Cristalli, Percy, Finn Hurley, Gulu Urhan, CeeLo, Fabian Kronsteiner, Ryan Alikamik, Infinite Beak, Tastic, Subin, Calvin Long, Corm, Mil McEnium, Reichs, Probux, William Barboza, Martin Antons, FB Kong, Ben Savage, Darth Heisenberg, Deucevault 98, Jacob Withy, Morta W. Telawizorze, Tellerin, Eddie Co 22, Sean Rajewski, AdPods, Mr. Mojo Toby, Loading Sand Island, Faber, Joe M, Lavico 8, Matt Kismet, Hans Cisco, Kasixon, and Daniel Faring. Next week, Jimmy transports us to a special island.
This is like the best meal I've had in a decade. I mean, the fish is perfection, and the... Am I supposed to eat the lemon?
Yes.
That's what was in my head.
You should be so insulted if you don't eat the lemon.
I'm gonna remember 2 of the 3 notes. Okay, let's go.